guys, welcome back to my channel, Books and Beauty. And you're probably looking at the title, and if you watched the last video, you probably have some questions. You're probably like, oh, Tori, did you end up going to sleep? No, I did not. You're probably asking me, Tori, did you read all of book 3? Yes, I did, obviously. And then you're like, Tori, did you really read all 3 books in 24 hours? Yes, I did. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. But I got hooked because the story just got so good. And I just... Y'all, I feel delirious because that's how sleepy I am. I've barely eaten today too. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I'm just... Fuck, this series did something to me. Okay guys, this last one, this is Bury Me. Willow Heights Prep Academy, The Elite. This is book 3. This is the last book in this series. An eye for an eye, a heart for a heart. The war should be over. I got what I wanted. I should be happy, but nothing is as it should be. My brothers made the team, but they still want more. They don't rule the halls of Willow Heights, and they won't stop until they do. My father won't stop until he rules the town, even though my brother is unraveling and rumors about what really happened in that locker room have damaged my name. In the midst of it all, the boy who tormented me could be the one person I can trust. But when lies are exposed and the truth is revealed, it leaves me wondering which side I'm really on. How much will I sacrifice for my family, for my heart? The battle lines are drawn between the darlings and the Dolces, but when the victor emerges, who will be left standing? Bury Me is the final book in the Willow Heights Prep Academy, the Elite trilogy. This series contains triggering situations and is suitable for readers 18 and plus only. It says this is perfect for readers who love bully romance, high school dark romance, enemies to lovers, sports romance, small town romance, star-crossed lovers, and warring families. They should have added mafia romance because, baby... So this book was actually longer than the other 2. This one was 451 pages. It took me a little bit longer to read because I was, like I said, sleepy as fuck. I think I slept for like maybe an hour or less than. Y'all. This book. This book I'm giving 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. Oh, it was so good. And like the series overall, I'm giving the whole series as a whole, I'm giving that like 4.75 out of 5. But this book, specifically book 3, it's 4.5 out of 5. And baby, oh my. Y'all, bitch, I had to eat my fucking words because if you watch the video on book 1, y'all saw how adamant I was that I did not like Devlin. Like, y'all saw I was against it from the beginning. And then if you watch book 2, you could see that I was like, I was warming up to him. I liked him. I was rooting for him. Baby, book 3. Book 3. Devlin is bae. I love him. I still have some issues with him. I do still have some issues with him. But I love him. I love him. It's so good. I love him. Honestly, Devlin Baby, Devlin needs therapy and anger management. If we're being completely honest, therapy and anger management. Fuck, I can't even. I have so many fucking bookmarks in here. I just need to. It was so fucking much. Like, like, okay, with book two left off. Book two left off with, whew, yeah, the ending of book two was basically Crystal breaking Devlin's heart because, you know, he was already falling for her, but, you know, she had came up with this plot like, oh, I'm gonna make him fall for me, and then I'm going to hurt him the way that he hurt me, you know. And so when she and Devlin ended up finding Royal in Devlin's attic because Devlin's dad, no, I've been reading too much. Royal was put into Devlin's attic, and that is where Devlin and Crystal find him. And Devlin, knowing that his family would be blamed, he wanted to take the fall, but both him and his dad ended up getting arrested for it. And her brothers forced her to go over and basically drive a knife into Devlin's heart, you know, just crush it and say, hey, I was using you. This was a means to end, yada, yada, yada. Oh, man, let me tell you, that hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings. But, like, oh, man, let me tell you something. When yo, like, I'm so all over the place, but it's just so much to comprehend now that I finished the series. But, like, Royal, I'm so fucking pissed because I was rooting for you. Royal, I was rooting for you. You were my favorite Dolce brother. Are you kidding me? I was rooting for you. Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that to me? I felt like Crystal at the end of the book when that happened, because why would you do that to me? I was rooting for you. That's supposed to be your blood, your sister, that's your twin. Like, you're a fucking asshole. Anywho, I'm trying to see something because I thought it was really adorable how, like, when they finally went back to school and she opens her locker and there's a coffee cup in there. I already knew it was Devlin, and according to her later on, she knew it was him too. But, like, he was doing this, like, before they even reconciled. Like, you know, she had told him it was over and all this shit. Like, it was... But Royal was pissing me off though, because, like, in the beginning, he's upset, you know, he's being real standoffish with Crystal. He's like, you fucked them while I was in there dead. For all you knew, you were fucking the guy who did this to me. Am I just supposed to forget that? Like, first of all, everything ain't about you. Like, the first time that they had sex, that was the night that he went missing. But it's like, I I get where he's coming from, because honestly, you know, that day when they realized that Royal was missing, you know, they immediately thought it was the Darlings. You know, they got home and Crystal was like, search their house, blah 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 blah. You know, but it's like, Royal, everything was about you. Like, you really think, like, he pissed me off. He's mad disrespectful to his fucking sister, calling her a slut, a whore, some. Oh, he really thought that she let the whole football team hit. Let me tell you something. I lost so much fucking respect for Royal in this book. I was done with him. He was up there with my hatred for, I don't know. Cause like I said, I was lukewarm with Colt, but I hated Preston. Royal went from being my boo to up there almost being hated with Preston. Like, that's how I was feeling. Pissed me off to no end. But child, oof. I don't even like, real quick, let me say this. Her friend Dixie, that girl, she need help. Homegirl was given desperate the whole fucking time when it came to Colt. Like, when, I guess, Devlin convinces the guys on behalf of Crystal to get rid of the Darling dog and the Darling dolls or whatever, but you know, they were only supposed to keep 3. And like, Dixie the whole time is just like, oh my god, what if he picks me, blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, cringe, just fucking cringe, because it's like, it's plain as fucking day that he ain't really feeling you like that. Like, just because he fucked you the night of homecoming, like, he used you that night too. But like, being that he is a Darling, you know, she's like, oh my god. And I'm just like, oh my god. That was just so fucking cringe. Just, ugh. She had me cringing a whole fucking lot. But, whew, let me tell you. Like, these shenanigans, baby. Like, Devlin, it's several things going on. But when, I think this is like, what, a couple days after, because like at this point, you know, Devlin and his dad, they're out on bail. With, technically we find out the charges against Devlin are dropped because they didn't have evidence. But in class, like when Crystal walks in and she sees Devlin sitting with Dolly, and you know, at this point her and Dolly are like mad cool, but there's that history between Dolly and Devlin that's a little messy, because like in book 1, when she came into class, like her first time in the class, Devlin wasn't there, so she sat at this table by herself. But the next day when she came in, Devlin was at the table, and there wasn't, I don't think it was anybody else for her to sit with, or the teacher wouldn't let her switch partners, so she goes to sit down, and Devlin's like, man, fuck this. He asked the teacher if he could switch, and the teacher was like, well, you could pair with Dolly, and he said, never mind, and he sat down. But in this, what's happening this week, this is when he comes back to school. This is like a week after he gets out of jail. And She walks in and she sees him sitting next to Dolly, and she walks up. She's like, oh, so that's how it is? He was like, well, I mean, you know, like, you said you was done with me. She's like, all right, bet, whatever. But then I think it was like the next day or later on that week, I'm not really sure about the timeline, but they're in class and one of their raggedy ass classmates, Purvis McNasty, is like hitting on her, and she's steady telling him no. Baby, when Devlin hopped up and beat his ass, yo, loved it. Loved it. Yes, I condone violence. I like violence. I choose violence. Okay, let me tell you, so I got mad suspicious right here, and you know why? You know why? Because I talked about it in the last 2 videos. But when she sees the blood from the classmate who Devlin just beat up, when she sees the blood and she gets nauseous, she runs out of class and she goes to throw up. What the fuck did I say? What the fuck did I say? I knew it. And it was so fucking funny because, first of all, we don't find out she's pregnant until the end of the book. But I was suspicious because of that scene, and because it was something else that happened. Like certain things where she's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't consume such and such because, like, oh, my stomach lurched and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, but they were just so reckless. Like, they stayed fucking with no condoms. She wasn't on birth control. There was no talk of plan Bs. Like, they was just going at it. I'm like, y'all are reckless, man. And there was only one time out of all the times in these books where we know for a fact they had sex, there was only one time that a condom was actually used to our knowledge, and I was flabbergasted because I was like, what? I thought you didn't know what condoms were. Like, granted, there were a couple of times where, right as he inserts himself in her, she's like, wait, no, condom. And he's like, yeah, nah. And I'm just like, y'all are fucking crazy. But I'm like, all of a sudden using the condom, y'all been this reckless now? Like, what's the difference? But no, I was mad fucking suspicious, so I kind of already knew that was coming up. Now, when she asks King, like, oh, like, I don't remember, I feel like she asked him, like, what would happen if her and Devlin, like, forced their families to get along because they want to be together. And she's like, she brought up, like, a scenario, like, if, you know, she were pregnant, like, if they had a baby, and King is telling her, like, nope, he'd be dead because dad is going to put a hit out on him. And the darlings, they're going to do everything in their power to take the baby away from you. And so she's just like, because she was just tossing out these scenarios. But, like, I was suspicious. And I was right. No, but deadass. So after he beat up the classmate, and after he beats up the classmate, and she runs into the bathroom, and he goes in there to check on her, I was like, yes, please talk, please communicate. And let me tell y'all, this really was like a modern day just Romeo and Juliet. I don't know, they did something for me. Like, it was a lot of fucking mushiness in there that makes me want to fucking vomit. But like dead ass, the way that, like, after they told each other that they loved each other, like the intimacy that they exuded while they were having sex, whew, let me tell you, I don't know, that would terrify me. Like, that, oof, terrify me. Like, don't be looking in my eyes like that. Wow. Don't do that. Don't be, you know, whispering the endless promises and sweet nothings in my ear, like, while you touching my soul. Like, no, no. Child, hot mess. And then, let me tell you something. These books do not have a set list of triggers. And I feel like they should have had a little bit of a trigger when it came to like blood play, because, sir, you mad wild. Because remember when I in the last video when I said don't let the new girl make no spaghetti, she confesses to him what she did with the coffee, and he's like, why? And she's like, look, my grandma said it would get you to fall in love with me. And he's just like, okay, but I was already falling in love with you. He's like, it had nothing to do with the coffee or whatever, blah blah blah. And like, she's like disgusted with herself, and he's laughing. He's like, you forget that I actually ate you out while you were still on your period. Like, first of all, no, absolutely not. Fuck no. That's not on my list of kinks. Absolutely not. No. I'm not a kink shamer, but me personally, fuck no. Get the fuck out of here. He ain't got no problem with it, but yeah, shenanigans. But yeah, no, he was mad fooling. He's like, low key, I'm trying to do that again. Like, basically. And she's like, you wanna do what now? And she's like, well, I'm not bleeding right now. He's like, I could make you. What the fuck do you mean by that? But they had like a little exchange of blood, because he cuts his thumb and has her suck his finger, and he uses that to, and like, he plays with her a little bit with that, but then he cuts her down there somewhere to suck on her. It was just, they mad wild. Teenagers be crazy. I can relate. Not to that extent, but teenagers be crazy when they think they in love. Just true child. But it's so funny because at the end, he's like, when she tells him that she's pregnant, he's like, I know. And she's like, the fuck do you mean you know? How do you know? He was like, well, you think that I ain't noticed you ain't had a period in the last 2 months? She's like, what? He was like, when you told me that when you put the drop of blood in the coffee, he was like, I started counting backwards. I was like, oh shit. Ooh, sir, why you paying attention to that? I guess he was dead ass trying to. You scare me. You scary. I'm trying to look at these bookmarks because I don't know what I was talking about in here. What's going on? This is why I say Devlin needs therapy. He has so many insecurities when it comes to his relationship with Crystal. Granted, you know, she was plotting against him to make him fall for her, and she threw it in his face, you know. But like the scene where they're in the lunchroom, let me tell you, this shit was messy as fuck, and it pissed me off with Colt and Mason. Wrong characters. I was about to say Colt and Mason. That's a whole nother book. Colt and Preston. This is when they're getting rid of the Darling dolls, and they said they were only going to keep 3 dolls. And so Crystal had told Devlin, she's like, I don't care about being one, you know, I don't really care about the label. I don't really care for the whole thing as a whole. But she's like, I don't care who you want to give it to, because she's like, if you give it to Dolly, or, you know, let Dolly keep hers, she's like, it makes sense because she's the original doll. She's like, I don't care. And then her and Dolly they're cool. So she's like, I don't care. It's whatever. But then they're in the lunchroom, and And they walk over to the table. And I'm thinking, I'm like, oh shit, is Colt actually gonna give the necklace to Dixie? No, that asshole puts the necklace on Crystal, and I was like, oh shit. And she's freaking out too. She looking at Devlin like, Colt is like, well, technically I saw you first, so you know, if things with you and Devlin go south, yada yada yada. And I feel like he was dead ass, but I'm like, you know they love each other. What is wrong with you? Why are you being a messy bitch? Him and Preston, messy bitches. Just, but like, after that, like, Devlin told Dolly, he was like, you know, if you want to keep it, you can keep it, it's yours. And she took it off. She's like, no, excuse me. She's like, no. She's like, I thought that I needed this way back when. She's like, but I know better now. I don't need this, blah, blah, blah. She hands him the necklace and he takes it and he steps up to Crystal and he was like, well, I know you said you didn't want one of these, but now you're wearing one. He was like, I'm never going to give jewelry to another girl. And since you already got this one on, he was like, this necklace belongs to you whether you want it or not. Do you want to wear it? She's, yep. So she puts it on her, and then of course everybody in lunchroom like, what's really going on between y'all? But she kisses him in front of everybody, staking her claim now. Just for fucking Preston. Like, Crystal had alluded to Preston and Dolly having something, even though Dolly and Preston were both denying it. But Crystal's like, nah, because on more than one occasion, Preston and Dolly would be sneaking out of class and would be gone for an extended period of time. So she knew what the fuck was going on, but shameful. But she knew what was going on. So like when he's the last one to get the necklace, you know, she's looking at him trying to will him like, give it to Dolly. Like, just give it to Dolly. This fool steps over and puts the necklace on Crystal. So now she got 3 necklaces on and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, well. And Devlin is heated. He's pissed. He storms out. Dixie's heartbroken. She runs out. She gets up, slaps the fuck out of Preston. And Colt has to hold him back. So she runs out to go fucking, to talk to Devlin. Is Devlin, his dumb ass, he's like, so have you been fucking them? Did you fuck them? You been fucking them too? Why you was fucking me? I told you I don't fuck around, but you been fuck, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do you hear yourself right now? I'm like, you really don't know how this girl feel about you. Like, you just so fucking stupid. Like, but dead ass, I do have issues with Devlin. Like, honestly, Crystal and Devlin's relationship, toxic. If I'm being completely honest, it's toxic as fuck. Especially the sexual part of their relationship. It's toxic as fuck. Yeah, like that moment in the car, not a fan. Not a fan. I'm trying to think. I don't even... Yeah, I'm trying to see what else was... Ugh. Now, why would you take me all the way there? That's not where I was at. The fact that nobody... Like, the fact that word didn't get back to her daddy about her still seeing Devlin, like right up until like nearing the end of the book, the fact that the word didn't get back to him was crazy. Because like she's like, her brothers are assholes, because she leaves out of school and she goes to Devlin's car. She texts him to come meet her. And he's like, what's up? And she's like, I want you to take me home, please. And, you know, they're still like kind of reconciling a little bit, like not really, but kind of sort of. Like, and so when he pulls up at home and she's like looking at him, she's like, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say all of that shit that I said to you. She's like, I want you to fuck me. Let this just, you know, she's like, this could be the last time. This could just be our goodbye, yada, yada, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to think, was that when she went to the house? That might have been the time when she went to the house and her dad was like, oh, sweetheart, what you doing home so early? She's like, I wasn't feeling well, so, you know, I came home from school. I'm gonna just go take a nap. But I'm trying to remember the other time she came in. She came in, and this was after her being with Devlin. But this is after she was with Devlin, and Royal was sitting in the living room in the dark like a fucking creeper. And he's like, where have you been? And she was like, I was with my friends. But he knew that she had been hanging out with Devlin still. And he really swung at her. Like, he hit the wall because she ducked, but he really swung at her. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem, man? Like, Royal really fucking disappointed me. There's a difference between being, like, protective, overprotective, and just being an all-out controlling piece of shit. And all the men in her family were controlling pieces of shit. Because how are the twins that are younger than her and Royal, how do they have more freedom? Because they're boys. Misogyny. It's bullshit. Like, that shit was pissing me off. Because I'm like, y'all such fucking hypocrites. Like she said, she was like, y'all probably done fucked like the amount of half the population in this small town. And she's like, I fucked one guy and y'all are just like losing y'all shit. It like shenanigans. I also loved reading Devlin's POV in this book as well. It was great. I love it. Dude, deadass, every time Devlin snuck into her room, I was on pins and needles just waiting for one of her brothers or for her daddy to bust into her room. And I was so glad that never happened because nerves, baby, the nerves. I was like, y'all being mad reckless, especially when you keep saying that Royal's room is next door to yours. Girl. Whew. Blood pressure is just up. He's just oof. The moment when he told her, the moment that he told her that he loved her, you can break my heart into 1,000 pieces 1,000 times over and I'll still love you just as much. First of all, he didn't even mean to say that. It slipped out. It caught both of them off guard because he froze. Loved it. She said, I love you too. Like, it was just, what has happened to me? I don't do mushiness of the romance, but this had the mushiness between them. Fuck, man. I love them. They got some issues, but yeah. Like, Preston did try to like kind of, was it an apology? I feel like he tried to apologize about what happened in the locker room. I still don't forgive him. It's still fuck Preston. She forgave him, but I did not. It just pissed me off that he deadass didn't really back off until Devlin was like, no, she's mine. Ain't nobody touching her. I'm like, It took all that for you to be a decent fucking human being. I'm like, do you realize? Like, and he even asked her, he's like, why didn't you tell the police on me? But her whole thing, well, I'm not a snitch, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm telling. I'm telling. You brought in the whole football team to attack me. I'm singing like a fucking canary. Fuck you. But that's just me. That was just foolishness. She should have, I would have told. That was dumb. That was dumb. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I need to talk about before I talk about the ending. See, I feel, was it Preston? It was, so both Preston and Devlin were telling Crystal, you know, like, I don't know, sweetness, you might want to look a little close to home when it comes to what really happened with your brother's kidnapping. And I told y'all in the last video, I said I didn't trust Daddy Dolce. I did not trust him. And when Crystal was thinking about it, she said she had the same reasons that I did. She was like, when they found Royal and he was mumbling, he said, Dad, and then he said, I don't want to move again. She at first interpreted it as, like, I guess, like them moving from New York to Arkansas. But no, that's not what that meant. But also, when they got to the hospital and her dad was asking her, like, oh, like he tensed up when he's like, well, what else did he say? And she's like, oh, nothing, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, just to find out. So basically, it was a plan put together by Daddy Dolce. And Royal went along with it. So basically, he was put into Grandpa Darling's basement. He was found. He was then moved to the Midnight Swans meeting place, which was that that secret basement room below the school. Only when Devlin's dad found out that that's where he was being held, he's like, well, you know, maybe we can help him. He was then moved to Devlin's attic, where now all, you know, now they're being arrested. They're being blamed for this, even though Devlin technically confessed. But yeah, Royal, he came clean. He's like, well, Dad set it up. It was to frame the Darlings. He said it was to keep you safe, blah, blah, blah. But I guess Grandpa Darling, you know, did actually do some shit to him while he was down there. But, you know, like his dad kept having him moved. It was from the Darlings. It was to the basement at the school, to Devlin's attic. It's like, was it that fucking serious? And Royal's whole thing, and that's why he's so pissed, because he's like, I went through all of that for you to protect you, and meanwhile, you over here fucking this man. And he's supposed to be our enemy. So he's just feeling all types of betrayal. And I'm like, such a fucking asshole. Like, that shit was funny as fuck to me, like, because Devlin was still putting the coffee cups in her locker. And Royal, he's like, where's this from? Like, who is this from? And, like, that little scene in the hallway where Devlin stood up to Royal, like, to protect Crystal. Baby, that's why Devlin's bae. He got some issues, but he could work on it. He got some issues, but, you know, he got a lot of potential. I love him, and I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did. Just for me to turn around and hate Royal, like, child, the ending was just, I was terrified. I was nervous, and I'm not gonna lie to you that I did flip all the way to the epilogue to read the first sentence, and I said, oh, okay, I can relax, because I was nervous. I was very nervous. And then I continued reading, and I had to keep telling myself they're okay. But the guys just go out on New Year's Eve and start burning down all of the darlings' houses using like fireworks and shit. I'm like, oh my fucking God, what is going on? And you know, that's where Crystal learns the truth about the kidnapping. But like she's screaming, she's freaking out because she's like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? She was like, there could be people in these houses, these people are gonna get hurt. And they're like, well, that's why we're coming with noise, like we're being loud so that, you know, they have a chance to get out. I'm like, that's not the fucking point. Only for King to end up getting shot, even though he was saying it's a flesh wound, whatever. Y'all still being dumb as fuck. Like, any respect that I might have had left for Royal was dead and gone when he pointed that gun at Crystal and said, you're dead to me, you're not my sister. And I was like, wow. Just, wow. I'm like, this ain't even really y'all feud. Like, y'all daddy, this was y'all daddy's feud, and he came in and forced y'all to go up against the darlings. Like, it was just dumb as fuck. It didn't make any sense. But like, I was so very happy when the darlings showed up. But I got very fucking scared when Crystal took the gun that Royal dropped and she staggered away down the embankment near like the river or whatever. I was very fucking scared because I'm like, holy fuck, because she's like, well, my twin, my other half, my brother, he just disowned me. Like, he's basically said I'm dead to him. Like, nothing else really matters anymore. And she just stumbles down there while they're fighting. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, oh my fucking God, oh my fucking God. I'm like, priorities. Go after her. But yeah, you know, of course, Devlin, he ends up finding her. And that's when they basically come up with the plan to die. And I was very nervous because I thought she was being dead ass. And I was like, oh, we really doing the Romeo and Juliet thing? Oh, yeah, no, not really. They faked their deaths, went on to go live somewhere else, where she's pregnant with their daughter. And it's just wild to me. And that's why I can't give it 5 stars. And it's because she's 16 in the book. And I know I said, like, when they're teenagers, I automatically age them up in my head. And I try to picture them, like, in college at least. But, like, that's a little hard to ignore because I'm like, okay, so y'all just faked y'all deaths. Devlin didn't finish graduating. And you were 16, so basically you just dropped out of school because you can't go somewhere with a new identity. Like, you can't create a new identity as a minor because it's too many shenanigans. Like, as a minor, like, oh, parent, guardian, shit like that. And so it's just like, are you lying about your age? Now, I just had this is just me just having questions because I'm like, okay, did you lie about your age? Like, what kind of identities did y'all buy to where, you know, he was able, like, Devlin was able to get a good job? Like, I don't know, I just had questions, but that's just me. But I guess, I mean, I am happy for them, but like I said, it's just mad unrealistic. And I know you're like, Tori, it's a fictional book. I get that. I get that completely. I know. But it's just mad. This reminds me of another book series that I read last year that I actually did not like. I need to review that because I got beef with that series. But It's like, y'all are, you're 18 and 16 and she's pregnant and y'all didn't finish school, and it's like, how are you gonna do anything? How are you doing anything? Like, regardless of whether or not you have the funds to do so, because obviously you do, but what? Like, y'all are so fucking young. Like, and that's from I'm not really a fan of that. But yeah, I kept trying to like ignore the age part, but it kept nagging at me because I'm just like, y'all are too fucking young. Like, I guess they was really sticking to that warring families, Romeo and Juliet type vibe. And I mean, it worked. Like I said, I did enjoy the story, but it was just things I had issues with. But overall, like, I really did like the series. I wouldn't mind finding another book series that's similar to this. But deadass, this reminded me of another book series that I read, but the reason why I hated it was because the main character and the love interest were absolutely wrong for each other, and it was a perfect, suitable guy right the fuck there, and she did not choose him, and I was fucking pissed, just livid, because he did not deserve her. It was heinous. It was trash. I need to go back and look through my list of books from last year, because that was just, yeah, no. Anyways, like I said, I enjoyed this series, this book. It was great. I loved it. I loved some of the characters, not all of them. But I need to get off here because I need to get my life together. I need to catch my sleep. I need to eat. I need to come back to the land of the living. But I really hope y'all like these book reviews, because baby, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep now. But thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you have any book recommendations, I'll gladly take them. Until next time, I'll see you later.